Good morning, good people. Let's see, let us see what is going on. Oh, good. All righty then. Got a good text message. Watabevy is at school. That's cool. In Fort Jacks. Okay, good morning, people. Good morning, fellow humans. I spell that Huemonds. Colorful nuts. And I think that's a good way to consider ourselves. We're colorful nuts. This is Department of Career Services, where our goal is to help our students and other interested people on their journey through this life. This life is a journey to a destination. The destination is what occurs after this life. Why do we say that? Because there's compelling evidence through real experiences after death, near-death experiences, that we have a transcendent soul. And if we have a transcendent soul, what does that mean? That means there's something after this life. So that's pretty cool. And it seems like, in the stories that people come back and tell, it seems like the destination is a function of the journey. If you're heading down this path, your journey is this way, here's where you go. Your journey is that way, here's where you go. It appears that way, though, this is just compelling evidence. It's not proof, it's compelling evidence. And why not act in such a way that the compelling evidence is actually true? Because if the compelling evidence is true, you don't want to be on the wrong side. If the compelling evidence is not true, you're better off for it anyway. So you don't lose anything. So it's sort of like a Pascal's wager type of thing. So our goal is to help people on the journey through this life. And we do that in 4 areas: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. The spiritual is the most important. However, we really only talk about that, or we focus on that, on the weekends. So that means Monday through Friday, we focus on the daily grind stuff of life. And how do we do that? Well, we do it through our worksheet, which is the experts giving advice on the 4 areas: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. That's where the stuff is. And the second way we do it is through this podcast. And that is the habit of just showing up every day, creating better habits, getting in the habit of creating better habits. Slightly better every day, having a predisposition to your habit that you're going to be kind of like samurai, karate chop chop, Austin Powers. That you're just going to do it a little bit better every day. Every day. You're not going to be satisfied with how it's done now. You can always make a little improvement. And if you have a habit of doing that, it's non-conscious behavior. So if you're non-consciously trying to get better at everything you do, guess what? Huge compound effect in the future. And the third way is the people coming together on the podcast. So like Atticus Von Atticus has joined us. The field marshal has arrived. And you probably didn't hear me say, but Watabevy is in class, in school. I'll get the... Alrighty. So today is day 1 of week 2 of our neuroscience-oriented approach to success. And this is really an important one. This is a big one. This is the one You want to make sure you get locked in to watch every day. Every day this week is important because we basically tell how the brain works on a neuroscience level, how to explain, answer the two questions, who am I and why do I behave the way I do? This is the week. And it's in our heads. It's all in your head, right, Matt? It's all in your head. So we start with a particular type of cell in our brain called a neuron, or as Yuval Harari says, a neuron. So we start with neurons. Tomorrow we go to neurotransmitters, the chemicals that create our feelings, and then which thus really impact our behavior. And the next day, on Wednesday, we talk about the reticular activating system. And then we have some practical things like stress that we'll talk about on the rest of the week, the last 3 days of the week. So it's YTABA. But this week, we're really trying to answer the question, who am I and why do I do the things I do? Sometimes it is, sometimes it ain't. Right. Okay. So who am I and why do I behave the way I do? And the answer to the first question is, each of us are our connectome. That's today's TED Talk. I am my connectome. What? I thought I was in a blender. Okay, I am my connectome. What's the connectome? The connectome is in all creatures with brains, all animals with brains. The connectome is the number of neurons times the number of synapses. A synapse is the gap between two dendrites. Well, not dendrites. Anyway, on a human neuron has 10,000 connections. So there's about 10,000 places on every neuron that can connect to another neuron. And they don't actually connect. They get really close. This neuron gets close to this neuron, and that gap is called the synapse. And one neuron spits out neurotransmitters to this one. And then it goes down that to the next neuron. And that's how neurons communicate. And that's where our memories, so what's stored in neurons, in long chains of neurons, what's stored in there? Our lived past, aka memories, our anticipated future, our ability to simulate things, to locomote around the world. All of the things we're doing, it's because we have neurons, we have things stored in our brain, in our neurons. How do we know this? We know it because if you have brain damage, going back to Dr. Amen last week, if you have brain damage, your ability to access your lived past, your anticipated future, your ability to simulate, et cetera, personality, all of those things seem to disappear. They're not accessible to us, to our conscious mind. So we know those things are stored in our neurons. Aha. So what do you want to store in there? What do you want to store in your brain? You want to store bad stuff in your brain, or do you want to store good stuff in your brain? When you're watching shows, you want to watch shows that help you advance through this life, TV, etc. When you experience things vicariously, i.e. you're watching on your phone, you're watching TV, whatever. When you experience something vicariously, do you want to fill your brain with productive good stuff or not good stuff? Unfortunately, too many people say not good stuff because they think it's just entertaining and it's no big deal, and our brain knows that it's not real, and what's the harm anyway? It's a way to get some feeling. I get some intense emotion from watching scary stuff. chopping people up. I get it. It gets me going. I know it's not real. Well, one of the problems is your brain doesn't know it's not real. Our brain in itself doesn't know what's true, false, good, bad, right, wrong, etc. It's just a machine that fundamentally, I would say most basically, is there to solve problems. So we need to, in order to better solve problems, we need to remember stuff, right? How to chop down a tree, how to start a fire, what to eat when you kill an animal, what parts do you eat and not eat. So our brain stores information. If you're constantly filling it with bad, useless stuff, there's going to be an effect. All right, so that's today. Tomorrow we learn about neurotransmitters, the chemicals that create feelings in us. And so why is it important? It's where's my drink? It's important because if we know how our brain works, then we have the ability to have better control over our brain, over our behavior, over the things that we do. So, for example, we'll learn more about this tomorrow, but if, for example, you believe in vampires or monsters, and they're in your room, or they're trying to get in your room, and they want to do bad things to you. Correct. They're trying to do bad things to you. You wake up in the middle of the night because you heard a noise under your bed or in the closet or scratching at the window. If you believe in monsters that are trying to get you, your immediate response belief is going to be that it's a monster trying to get you. And you will get a massive amount of neurotransmitters released in your system to protect you and save you. And so it might be fear, and you get a tremendous amount of adrenaline and cortisol, and you're going to run out of the room because you believed there's a monster under your bed or a vampire outside trying to get in your room. Bam! Huge, massive amount of instant energy created by the release of neurotransmitters because you had a belief that sound was caused by something bad, something going to do you harm. On the other hand, if you had no such beliefs and you heard a sound under your bed, you might have thought it's a cat or a mouse or just, the earth settling or the wind rustling the tree, leaves scratching against the side of the house. And you might think, wow, nature is so wonderful. And you'll fall back to sleep. Same set of inputs, same stimulus, the noise, but a totally different outcome based upon the belief. And then the behavior is an impact of the release of the neurotransmitter, of the belief, plus the neurotransmitter. So if it's fear, you're going to react way differently than if it's the wonders of nature. Okay, so really important. This is a very important week. Last week was important because it set the direction. This week is important because we really want to know the answers to the questions, who am I and why do I behave the way I do? And we don't get to just pull the parachute saying, I'm a creature loved by God and I'm going to heaven. We want to go below that. We want to have a critical answer the question critically, put some thought into it. Who am I? And Sebastian Song would say, I am my connectome. I am the result of all of the things stored in my brain and the And Eamon would say, plus your brain's ability to process information. And Jordan Peterson would say, plus the amount of information that you have, the crystallized knowledge that you have, a result of that. So I think that's good for today. It sets us up for the week. This is an important week. Please come back. Please, for your sake, come back. I'm going to be here regardless, but it's better for you to come back, listen, pay attention, get it, understand it. I've spent a great day yesterday reading the first 3 chapters of this book, Seeking God in All Things. It's about becoming a spiritual director, how to act as a spiritual director. Written by a Jesuit from an Ignatian influence perspective, let's say it that way. It's not Ignatian spirituality, but it definitely is flavored by it in a positive way. That's a compliment. Okay, so Atticus von Atticus, we're going to get you the final script. It's now 60 seconds, not 30 seconds. I think it should be 30 seconds, but I was told last night it's 60 seconds. So with that in mind, let's say sayonara baby son, and move forward in life. I'll chat with you later, Matt. Now I've got to get on the Peloton for the next hour plus. Well, after I do certain things I need to do to get this stuff on social media. It's not media. We're not carnivores. Well, I guess we are. But boom.